purpose of this video is to put together the research that I have kind of accumulated throughout this quarter for my environmental ethics project. The theme of my project was how has COVID related to climate change, in the sense of has it sped up an already out of control process, or has it slowed it down? And in doing so, I did find some interesting information and actually ended up adjusting my theme a little bit more towards the ethics of the healthcare industry and how much pollution they actually put out. I'll share some facts later. But throughout my whole project, I maintained an ecocentric stance, meaning all ecosystems matter, and by all ecosystems mattering, everything in that ecosystem matters, no matter how small. Every piece of it matters to make the ecosystem healthy. And all ecosystems, therefore, deserve some sort of moral consideration when we are making decisions. Along with maintaining an ecocentric perspective, I also used Immanuel Kant's philosophical thinking of what can I do? If I recognize an ethical problem or find a problem, what can I do about it? Humans have the ability to make a choice and therefore have an action that either makes something better or makes it worse. So along those lines, my first action is to make this video, get the information that I've found out there, all in one place for where people can find it and actually trust the source. And then B, I am going to actually start talking to my dad a little bit more about what we're doing in my little town for wastewater, health services buildings. Do we have special waste for them? Things like that. I'm just becoming more curious as I realize how big of a polluter and greenhouse gas emitter healthcare is. When I first began and chose my research path with coronavirus and how it was affecting the climate change, it was pretty new and there wasn't a lot of information out. The only information I knew was that we were 17% lower in greenhouse gas emissions from the previous year, but I didn't know how it was going to play out. As things got moved along, now we pretty much know how it's played out. The effects of the coronavirus on climate change is pretty much negligible because carbon has such a long half-life. Carbon dioxide has such a long half-life in the atmosphere. We don't really have a solid number on it. The generally accepted term is average of 29 to 31 years half-life for carbon dioxide in the troposphere. But being it lasts so long, and we're talking about 1990s carbon that's just now getting sequestered naturally into the earth through photosynthesis and mineralization, this really is a drop in the bucket. And I think it's been a rude awakening ethically for people, realizing how much we're going to have to change our behavior in order to truly get carbon neutral. By cutting it 17%, we were still emitting 83 million metric tons of carbon dioxide per day. So it's still just a staggering number, and the planet cannot handle it. As I learned more and more, and scientists had already kind of pinpointed what effect COVID was having on climate change, I kind of switched gears and started looking more into the health care industry, and actually stumbled upon a lot of really good studies. The healthcare sectors, just a fact, the healthcare sectors of the United States, Australia, Canada, and England combined emit an estimated 748 million metric tons of greenhouse gases each year. And that's an output greater than all but 6 nations worldwide. So basically us, Europe, China, and a couple others. That's crazy, because that is just one portion of our economy, and it's the portion that people consider is synonymous with healing. This is where it started to get interesting for me, because you're saying that the industry that's treating us, making us better, is actually causing a portion of these diseases as well. And that's where it gets ethically hard. At what point are we totally anthropocentric and only thinking of humans' needs and no other moral consideration is involved? And it appears, as I look more and more into the healthcare industry, that that's kind of been the thinking behind policy and their doing the way they do things. In addition to the facts already stated, the research about the hospital and healthcare industry actually was able to pretty much pinpoint down to somewhat clear numbers of what the healthcare industry was responsible for climate change wise. Ocean acidification, 12% would be the healthcare industry's causing. Smog formation, 10%. And respiratory disease from particulate matter, 9%. So things like asthma and stuff, they're helping. At least 9% of this is they're doing from making products, heating buildings, all the different things that we do as humans to control climate environment around us. Another fact is if the U.S. healthcare system were a country, it would rank 13th in the world for greenhouse gas emissions. The main person who led the study was Jody Sherman, medical doctor. She's also an associate professor at Yale School of Medicine. And she even said, and I quote, "While some pollution is currently inevitable in our efforts to safely care for patients, there is a tremendous amount of waste in our healthcare system. People are trying to reduce waste from a cost perspective, but there is a public health perspective as well that is important. Protecting public health is also an issue of patient safety." That's kind of what I was getting at, is that at a point we're shooting ourselves in the foot so much by polluting that we're even starting to affect our hospitals in the sense that the hospitals are causing the diseases they're trying to cure. Like I said, my action for this, I'm going to talk with my dad and the rest of the city council to try and see what Yelm's doing about A, hazardous waste, B, wastewater. I know that we have a treatment plant, and see what the plan for the immediate future is as we strive, hopefully, to be more carbon neutral as a country as a whole.